There's a short little trail that connects the Sherrar Burn Road to Still Creek Road called the Eureka Peak Trail. The Eureka Peak Trail does not continue to the top of Eureka Peak. Instead, it less usefully connects two gravel roads, but that's okay. It can still be used as part of a longer, more interesting loop if you're on a bike, including the Sherrar Burn Road, Still Creek Road, part of the Trillium Lake loop, and then the Trillium Lake Trail. We were also able to work in a nice bushwhack up to the actual summit of Eureka Peak and do some radio sports just for good measure. The figure 8 we rode ended up being about 9.2 miles long with around 1,200 feet of elevation gain. We started out at this random parking area right where Trillium Lake Road and Perry Vickers Road meet. If you've ever gone cross-country skiing or snowshoeing up here in the winter, then you'll recognize these roads as part of the skiing route. It's pretty here. This is a fun area to kind of play around in. It's got a very quirky Portland feel to it. There are some clearings with decent views of Mount Hood as well. Eventually, you'll pass the Pioneer Cemetery and then happen across this intersection with Chimney Rock Road. Take a left on Chimney Rock Road and continue forward. You'll bike past a lot of the ski cabins in here that I've been noticing get rented out during the summer a lot more often these days. One thing you can see rent-free is this channel, but if you want to support what I do, don't forget to like, subscribe, and navigate to patreon.com/voiceovertrails and sign up to be a patron. After a half mile on Chimney Rock Road, you'll come across this intersection where you'll want to proceed slight right up the hill on Sherrar Burn Road. After 1.6 miles with 456 feet of elevation gain up a relatively rough road, you'll arrive here at the intersection with the Eureka Peak Trail, which, I'll remind you, does not actually summit Eureka Peak. But we summited Eureka Peak, just not on a trail, and not with our bikes. We hid our bikes in the underbrush and started bushwhacking. I put on pants to protect my legs from scratches. The bushwhack up Eureka Peak is composed of 650 feet of elevation gain through brushy subalpine forest that at this time of year was also swarming with yellow jackets. It's a good idea to begin recording a GPS track when you go bushwhacking because it's really easy to get turned around in the woods. Better yet, make sure everyone you're traveling with is recording a track in case anything goes wrong. Nothing went wrong on this trip, just mentioning that that's probably a good idea. You'll thank yourself when you're not trapped in the woods in the middle of the night, sleeping in a haphazardly built shelter made of sticks and leaves, awkwardly huddled together for warmth. This is the top of Eureka Peak. There's nothing to see here. No view. No real point to climbing up here in the first place other than to get swarmed by mosquitoes or yellow jackets, season depending. So what was I doing up here then?
This is Whiskey X-Ray 7 Oscar Romeo.
Whiskey X-Ray 7, Oscar Romeo, QSO.
Ham radio? Duh. I was activating this summit for a big grown-up game that works a lot like Pokemon Go, but even nerdier, if you can believe that's possible. You see, what we do is we take our radios to different summits and we see how many contacts we can make. The person who climbs to the top of the summit with their radio is the activator, and the people at home or on other summits who answer are chasers. Activators get activator points for activating, and if they earn 1,000 points, they get the coveted Sota Goat award. Chasers get points for chasing, and they get an equally prestigious and sought-after Shack Sloth award. You need 4 contacts, or 4 QSOs in ham radio jargon, to officially activate the summit and earn the points. I started out with my handheld radio that works on a frequency that's about 45 megahertz above the FM radio band and works for relatively short distances and is line of sight. Then, when I'd finished making a bunch of contacts with that radio just into the Portland metropolitan area, I then upped the nerd level to 11 and set up a different radio called an HF radio that works on lower frequencies that are able to bounce off the ionosphere and can thus travel all the way around the world. The antenna I have to set up for this, though, is an absurd 67-foot long wire that is then supported by a carbon fiber mast I carried with me. And this mast is built specially for the purpose of holding up these really long wire antennas that you have to work on these frequencies, because these are just longer wavelength frequencies that require more antenna to be of any practical use. I can see you're already getting bored. All right, I got stung by a yellow jacket while I was setting up this antenna. It made me mad, almost as mad as the yellow jacket. I almost quit and went home. But I didn't quit and go home. Instead, my friend Jam talked me into completing the activation, and then we went and descended the Eureka Peak Trail, which was an excellent way to take my mind off the increasing swelling of my finger from the yellow jacket sting. It's also a neat little trail that I wouldn't have had occasion to ride for literally any other reason. As I already mentioned, the Eureka Peak Trail is a hiking trail to nowhere. It isn't very brushy, which is nice. The corridor is clear and the sight lines are good. It's kind of weird because I just can't imagine this trail gets used very much. I mean, it's sort of impossible to imagine who would ever hike this for any reason. Unless, of course, it was just folks discovering that despite its name, it doesn't summit anything. It's just a steep brake burner that descends straight down the fall line. I wonder if this trail is just here for historical reasons or something. Maybe it was like orphaned by roads that got built over an old trail corridor. It's got to be something like that. Either way, it's cool and it was fun to ride. It was a nice little stress reliever after spending all that time bushwhacking and getting stung by yellow jackets. There is one creek crossing near the bottom of the trail. This is it. This is the creek crossing. You'll have to carry your bike over it. Anyway, eventually you'll encounter Still Creek Road, where you can then head right up the hill to complete the same loop we did. Still Creek Road is Still Creek Road, and it does Still Creek Road things. It's just a gravel road in the woods. It does gravel road stuff for the next couple of miles as you gain around 500 feet over 2.5 miles before the road arrives back at this intersection, which should look familiar, the same one we kind of started at before pedaling up Sherrar Burn Road. You could turn Fishhook left and head straight back to the car from here, but that's stupid. Don't do that. Take the spur to the left and go check out Trillium Lake. And oh my goodness, I didn't realize how popular this place had become since the last time I was here in the summer. I know it's a popular wintertime destination as I've been cross-country skiing here multiple times and borne witness to that spectacle, but I'm kind of surprised at how many people I saw here in this mud puddle. I mean, it's a pretty spot, but I don't think that the lake is that cool. At least not without a piano sitting in the middle of it. Anyone who any time was in any doctor's office or dentist waiting room in the Portland area in the 80s and 90s knows exactly which photograph I'm referring to. That poster is from 1983. Crazy. I like how there's no parking signs all along the asphalt across the dam, and yet folks are parked here anyway. Whatever, folks. Don't let the government tell you what to do. This is America. Freedom. Anyhow, there's a trail around Trillium Lake, which you'll be surprised to learn is called the Trillium Lake Loop Trail. It's an easy loop around the lake. It's just a nicely maintained, easily bikeable loop around Trillium Lake. I'm not sure what else to say about this. It's a couple miles of gentle meandering trail through lovely woods. The woods are lovely, and there's boardwalks through bogland. That'll eventually lead back to where the cars are parked, assuming that you park your car where I parked. You don't have to do what I tell you to do. Do what you want. Like I said, it's America. I'd like to take this moment to thank all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Lomi Goodness level sponsor, Charles Kim. I'd also like to thank my Hero Dirt level sponsors, Bryce Ulrich, Devin Young, and Edward Lanton. If you'd like to join these supporters and help me defray the cost of providing this valuable commentary, navigate to patreon.com/voiceovertrails and sign up to become a supporter. Now, get out there and go ride your bike.